In the previous video, we opened the hood of Pi Network. We examined its engine, the Stellar Consensus Protocol, and concluded that this technology is legitimate. It is a solid and efficient piece of engineering, but a powerful engine becomes useless without fuel. Today, we will talk about fuel. We will talk about money. We will address the single most controversial, debated, and important topic in the entire Pi ecosystem. It's economics. How can something you get for free have value? How many Pi actually exist? And what is the real path to having a market price? In the next 30 minutes, we will set speculation aside. We will decode Pi's tokenomics and finally tackle the burning question about its total supply. This will be the most comprehensive economic analysis you have ever seen. Welcome to Pi Decoded, Part 1. Tokenomics 101. Why supply matters. Before we can analyze Pi, we need to agree on a basic economic rule. The value of any asset, whether gold, a house, a stock, or a cryptocurrency, is determined by two simple forces: supply and demand. How much of it exists, and how many people want it. This is why Bitcoin's famous 21 million hard cap is so well known. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins. This verifiable scarcity is the foundation of its digital gold narrative. The most basic formula in crypto valuation is market capitalization. This means that to even start a conversation about price, we must first understand supply. So, let's break down Pi's supply. Part 2. Deconstructing Pi's total supply. The formal formula. If you go back to the 2019 white paper, you won't find a simple number for Pi's total supply. Instead, you will see a formula. It states that the total supply, M, will be the sum of all base mining rewards, M base, all referral rewards, M referral, and all developer rewards, D. This has caused massive confusion. The supply seems dynamic, even infinite. However, we need to look beyond the original white paper to later announcements from the Pi core team. In December 2021, they clarified this model, and here's the final answer they provided. The network has a fixed maximum supply of 100 billion Pi. That is the hard cap. It will never increase. This number is the most important data point for our analysis. So, where will these 100 billion Pi go? The core team allocated it as follows. 80% to the community, 80 billion Pi. 65 billion allocated for all past and future mining rewards. 10 billion reserved to support the ecosystem, such as funding hackathon contests and community developers. 5 billion reserved for liquidity pools to facilitate trading when Pi enters the open market. 20% to the core team, 20 billion Pi. This allocation is fairly standard for a crypto project, but knowing the total supply is only half the story. The real question is, how much of that will actually be available for trading? Part 3. The dilemma of circulating supply. That 100 billion figure is not the whole story. In economics, what truly affects price is not total supply, but circulating supply, the number of coins actually unlocked and available for the public to buy and sell. And in Pi's case, the circulating supply is designed to be much, much lower than 100 billion, for a few key reasons. First, the Pi lockup mechanism. During the transition to mainnet, users are encouraged to voluntarily lock a percentage of their Pi for a period of up to 3 years. This yields a higher mining rate. Each locked Pi is temporarily removed from the circulating supply. Second, unverified and lost Pi. There are millions of accounts created but inactive, or that will never pass the KYC Know Your Customer process. All Pi associated with these accounts cannot move to mainnet. It will effectively be burned or returned to the general mining reward pool. This can represent a very large portion of mined supply. Let's do a quick thought experiment. Imagine the total mined supply is 50 billion Pi. If, say, 40% of that comes from users who never pass KYC, that's 20 billion Pi gone. Of the remaining 30 billion, If users lock on average 50% for 3 years, that's another 15 billion removed from circulation. Suddenly, the initial circulating supply is not 50 billion, but closer to 15 billion. This concept of effective scarcity is extremely important. Pi's supply is huge, but its circulating supply is designed to be released very slowly. Part 4. Value positioning. Can this model work? So we have a potentially massive supply, even if it is released slowly. This leads to the final question: how can it have value? The core team's answer, and the entire bet of the Pi project, is one word: utility. Pi's value is not created from scarcity like Bitcoin. It is intended to come from its usefulness in a massive, pre-built economy. The vision is an ecosystem where you can use Pi to buy real goods and services in apps, from other users, and eventually from businesses. Let's consider both sides of this argument. Bull case. Optimists argue that a network with tens of millions of KYC-verified users is one of the most valuable platforms in the world. If developers build useful apps on it, the ongoing demand to use Pi for services will create organic value. The network effect itself will drive value. Bear case. Economists and skeptics say that introducing a huge money supply into an ecosystem that initially has limited goods and services, low utility, will surely lead to hyperinflation. Pi's supply will far exceed demand for what can be bought with it, pushing the price close to zero. Ultimately, both arguments boil down to one thing: the success or failure of the Pi app's ecosystem. So, what have we decoded today after 30 minutes of deep analysis? 1. Pi has a huge but fixed total supply of 100 billion. It is not infinite. 2. Its circulating supply is a much more complex and dynamic figure, designed to be released very slowly through locking and removing unverified coins. 3. Pi's core value proposition is not based on scarcity, but on a big bet that they can build a utility-rich ecosystem for millions of users. Therefore, any conversation about Pi's future price that does not start with a discussion of its utility has a fundamental flaw. The question is not, when will there be supercars, but when will there be apps? We have examined the blueprint, the engine, and the fuel. But what about the apps? The real use cases? In the next video, we will explore the Pi ecosystem. We will look at the winners of the Pi Hackathon contest and ask the important question: are these apps capable of creating real, sustainable value for the network? Subscribe so you don't miss this crucial next step in our investigation. Thank you for watching.